Okay. Hi there. This is our application for the Learning Fives casting program. I'm Cucumbersome, and I'm here with.
Crazy Brizzy, and we're going to be casting over the Clutch Gaming 100 Thieves Game 4 from the semifinals.
Yep, this game was played just a couple weeks ago in this split of the NALCS playoffs. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
So we're heading into and Clutch Gaming's already looking to get Talia banned while 100 Thieves is going for Swain.
And Swain's been a big problem for them in the games that came before this earlier in the series. And Swain was obviously a priority pick on patch 8.5. Interestingly, Clutch goes for a Gangplank ban. Solo has had trouble so far in this, both in the split and in the series versus Someday. So getting him off of a champion where Someday can get a big advantage and carry the game is a smart choice.
Yeah, Gangplank could definitely run away with that. And then going into the Rise ban for mid lane, keeping that away from Ryu, that's going to kind of limit some mobility in case he was going to try to make some roaming gang plays. They got rid of the Talia and the Rise both, so it's a lot of mobility kind of locked down.
Rise is an important pick for Ryu in particular, given his roam heavy playstyle. Rise was going to want to push the lane and make plays in other lanes, and Clutch wants to keep Ryu as much as possible in the mid lane where he's typically going to lose to Febvin. Interestingly, here,
And then right,
Clutch. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
oh, let's say Clutch went ahead and got the Zaya first pick, and then Aframu was considering picking up the Rakan to go against it, but it's just in a rough spot because Rakan's kind of not as good alone as Zaya is.
That's true. His particular buffs that came in on patch 8.6 aren't actually live for the game that this was played on. So Rakan individually is in a pretty weak spot, but there was a lot of positive things said about Hakuho's Rakan, and that's why Aframo was looking to take it away. And of course, Clutch does go ahead and lock it in when they get given the opportunity. They also lock in a quick Syndra pick, giving them a priority lane for Fevivin into this Orianna, giving them two strong lanes on the bot side of the map.
Yes, it seems like they're also trying to kind of limit 100 Thieves' response time a little bit. They're not giving them a whole lot of time to think about their responses for their picks and all that. They're just kind of getting them in as soon as they can, kind of maybe trying to catch 100 Thieves off guard.
Interestingly, 100 Thieves goes for Tom Kench here. It's a very good pick in lane into the Zion Rakan. It makes it very difficult for Rakan to engage on Jin, who already can space pretty heavily away from the Zaya pick. So that means that if they're going to get aggression, it has to be on Tom Kench, which obviously isn't the easiest thing to do. But that being said, it is a weak lane, a lane that should be giving priority in an even skill matchup to the Clutch Gaming bot lane. And that means that they have two losing lanes or two lanes that don't generate pressure already picked for 100 Thieves. So it makes a lot of sense that Clutch went ahead and banned the Cho'Gath here. Because while Cho'Gath isn't what you'd normally consider a high pressure top laner, it had been a big problem for Solo to deal with earlier in this series. And it should be 100 Thieves' priority to get a top laner that they can get some pressure on, or else they're going to have three losing lanes and going to get out pressured throughout the map.
Yeah, and then going back to that Tom Kench pick for a second, that also really helps out because it can like eat people out of the Syndra ultimate. It can kind of just provide that disengage, re-engage, and then seeing Clutch going in and banning the Ornn away from themselves mostly, just to make sure that 100 Thieves can't get their shot at it is kind of interesting.
It is. It is. I guess the reason for that would be because Braum is still on the table and Clutch doesn't have the opportunity to pick Braum. So Ornn isn't as much of a opportunity for them to pick because they're not going to pick it into Braum typically or when Braum is up. You see 100 Thieves then take Zac with the first pick after the ban phase. They had banned out two junglers of their own, so now the pool's pretty pinched in that position, and they want it priority. And now it's back over to Clutch, and it looks like they're going to take Sion for Solo in the top lane. Just a strong lane. He hasn't shown too well on it before, but it should allow them to maintain pressure against almost any matchup. And then the Olaf in the jungle. And Olaf is going to be interesting because Olaf can run down the fairly immobile carries for 100 Thieves in the forms of Orianna and Jhin.
Yeah, and back in this patch, actually, Sion is still kind of overtuned with the Comets, and with all that, Sion's still in a really good spot right here. So Sion up against the Shen in that top lane, that's going to be kind of an interesting matchup to see how it plays out. See if Shen opts to go for the Hydra, or if he opts to go full tank and just kind of beef up front line along with Zach and Tom Kench, and just letting Jin and Orianna kind of do their work from the back.
It's true. It's true. And it looks like 100 Thieves has picked a comp that kind of plays into Clutch's style really well, where Clutch is known as a particularly passive team where they don't take a lot of risks, but at the same token, they don't make a lot of aggressive plays. And 100 Thieves, while picking a lot of losing lanes or lanes that shouldn't really generate pressure, they're banking on the fact that they're going to get to late game, even with their greedy pick, so to speak, because they're going to be able to withstand the low amounts of pressure that Clutch is pushing out. And in the late game, their comp should be really potent. So it's going to be on Clutch to really push the action early in this game.
Yeah, if Clutch is able to get that early lead, then things will be looking good. Any sort of if Syndra gets some steam rolling, they can just kind of run down the rest of the team and just kind of make this a pretty open and shut game.
It also plays really well into a team with the Shen pick against Clutch, because Solo isn't going to be getting a lot of pressure typically based on Clutch's play style, and that allows Shen to leave the lane frequently to help where Lyra is going to be pressuring, typically the bot lane. They're going to put the pressure into the bot lane. Febiven is also going to play with a very low forward percentage, and they're going to translate that advantage that Febiven generates naturally and the advantage that the bot lane should be getting into the other lanes. So someday being able to assist more than almost any other champion is going to be strong.
Yeah, having the mobility, being able to come back up with teleport right after that, and Sion not going to be able to follow anywhere near as well, because Sion will have to choose between following and letting the teleport or letting the ult go through, and just kind of see where it goes.
Just as quick, interesting choices from the starting items that kind of show you the playstyle that Clutch is going to want to put out. Sion's going for Corrupting Potion, whereas Shen is going for Doran's Shield. The Corrupting Potion just tells you right away that Sion's going to be looking to trade frequently and often, and he's going to need the mana sustain to keep harassing with those E's. And on the same token, you see in the bot lane, you don't see Doran's Shield on either AD carry, actually. And in fact, you see Spell Thief's Edge on Rakan. And Spell Thief's Edge is very divisive item choice on Rakan, because he has a lot of trouble stacking it if you aren't bullying the lane in a very aggressive way. This is a really good lane to pick it into. But here we have Clutch looking for an invade on Zach's blue side.
Well, Zach's starting at the Wolves. Ooh, this could play out really well if Clutch is able to get it and get out.
Yep.
It doesn't look like Meteos knows what's going on just yet, so it looks like they might get away with it. Oh, and that's a free blue buff for Lyra.
And it's definitely clear that Meteos doesn't know that the blue buff's gone. He goes, he checks, and it's not there. He wards, but it's a little bit too late, and he's just going to keep going through his jungle. Luckily, he doesn't need the blue buff to clear, and it looks like Lyra is going to go the safe route and head to his own blue to avoid getting it stolen. But what this does mean for Meteos is actually a camp ahead right here. He finishes the Gromp while Lyra is just starting his blue buff. So even though Lyra is almost certainly going to get the 3 buff here, he is going to be just a tad bit behind in tempo to Meteos.
And then seeing Meteos head straight over into his topside jungle, he's gonna Lyra is going to be able to see Meteos heading over towards his red buff, and that'll kind of give him some sort of idea as to what he's going to be planning to do.
You can imagine Lyra clearing here top to bottom, and he might have a play on the bot side because he knows that Zach is going to be mismatched on the top side. So it'll be interesting to see how much respect Solo gives up top to Someday. And here you see Someday going in onto Solo and winning this trade pretty heavily.
Oh, especially with the Corrupting Pot, it doesn't look like that play choice is kind of panning out for him. He's already down all 3 potions, and we're 3 minutes into the game.
Luckily for him, he has these biscuits ticking, and that's going to bring him about even in sustain with the Shen. But Shen obviously has the combat stat advantage with Doran's Shield, and he's going to have the sustain advantage just from the passive HP 5 ticking. Lyra opting for a full clear.
Lyra's probably going to be wanting to go back soon after this, just health-wise. He's looking a little low, rather than trying to get an early gank down.
It's a dangerous spot. Olaf is going to want to clear at low health rates because he gets increased attack speed from his passive when he has it. So it's a balancing act when you play that champion. And Zach isn't really the champion that best punishes Olaf in the early clears for that kind of greedy playstyle. You see Hakuho go in for a W here, but he ends up missing, and they just retreat, as Rakan is one to do.
We see Meteos looking to go for a gank on top lane, trying to see if they can catch Solo out. Solo has no idea that Meteos is there. He has that third bush warded though, so we're just wait. And he's in the ward vision, so it looks like Solo's going to back off a little bit, waste his time.
That's an incredible ward, and I don't know if they have that scouted out. This is a path that they're setting up, but someday set up a nice big push, and Meteos walked in all coy-like, but Solo was able to sniff it out with that ward ahead of time, and now he's doing a really good job baiting out Meteos' time. Meteos just cancels the recall and eventually realizes that he's just being baited and has to jump away. And that's going to make up the time advantage. Oh, going in a Hakuho onto Jhin, but there's the Tahm Kench.
Just eat it straight out. Looking maybe just get a stun off. Nope, misses the stun. So just gonna back off, kind of heal up for a second, and then get back to farming. And then we've got Lyra looking for an early dragon down here. Doesn't look like that 100 Thieves has any vision on it, so it's looking like it might be free. But we see Tahm Kench getting that scrying orb off to try to get vision.
And they're looking like they might want to contest. But it ends up not happening. It doesn't come in quite in time, and Lyra's just healthy enough. Ends up flashing out of the back of the pit. But that is first dragon to them, and that's a very early Ocean Drake. Early Drakes have been a big part of the series thus far, with Meteos sneaking an early dragon at 3 minutes in Game 2. And it looks like that trend's going to continue here. And early Ocean Drake's going to mean a lot of additional pressure for what are already these aggressive clutch lanes. You already saw Sion needing the sustain.
Well, seeing that, and then seeing Lyra being farm on Meteos right now, that's definitely putting him in a good spot. And he's looking to maybe try to start something up top lane, see if he can catch someday out. We got Olaf popping. Oh, we got a first blood out on Lyra.
It was a really nice job and a nice play there. Solo tanking just long enough, not overcommitting, knowing he was going to be responsible for tanking. And Lyra committing. Oh, before we go in, and it's another stopped engage here from the Tahm Kench. And they actually win that trade pretty heavily in 100 Thieves' favor. And that's just the nature of this Tahm Kench. It changes how you have to play in the Zyra Rakan matchup. But even then, you'd expect them to have pressure, but they don't. And here's a replay of that first dive top, so we can take a look at exactly how it went down.
So we see the Sion miss his E, but he still is able to get that that tower aggro on him just long enough to let Lyra get the kill, and only burning the flash to get out. That seems like it's pretty worth trade a flash for a first blood.
It was a really nice play on Lyra's part to not get panicked by the Shen shield that denies the auto attack damage. He sat there, waited, even though he was going to tank a tower shot or two, knowing that his reckless swing was going to come up, and that true damage was going to be what was going to finish someday off. It ended up that the shield fell and he was able to auto him down, but a lot of lesser players or ones who are less experienced on Olaf might have backed out in that situation, thinking that Shen had escaped.
Right. And then down here in the bot lane, Tahm Kench is away, so they're looking to try to get some free poke off on Cody-san, but nothing's kind of landing. He's out of the range of the W. He's not in a position that's going to endanger himself.
Normally you see these professional bot lanes, they back at the same time to avoid the stagger because that's when the AD carry is going to be most vulnerable. But because of how low they had gotten from previous trades, Apollo and Hakuho weren't able to punish Cody at all. And you see Shen going in for some trading top, but there's not going to be any nice stop on the recall for Cody-san there. But the trades top don't end up with a lot of sustained damage sticking, given how much sustain these guys have.
Right. And then seeing Ryu get this blue buff is going to help him out into the lane against Febiven. The farm difference is about even, but you see Orianna also rushing that tier right away, whereas Febiven went for the lost chapter.
It'll be interesting to see what Febiven builds. The new AP items are still recent, and people are still experimenting. Archangels seems very popular, just the most raw AP and mana that you can buy for the cost. But Ludens will help you clear, GLP will help you pick, so it'll be interesting to see what Febiven picks. It kind of will show how aggressive he wants to be and how he wants his lane to play out.
And then looking up in the top lane item choice-wise, seeing Someday come back with that with the magic resist right into the Sion, that'll help him out with the damage from the Arcane Comet, whereas Sion went and got the Catalyst of the Aeons to try to get some mana, some more sustained poke.
Both junglers invade at the same time to take the second red buff spawn for each, but Lear's a little bit ahead here, and Meteos is just going to be able to get out with that blast cone. Good on him to have it prepped, but Lear is looking for another play top here.
And Someday doesn't have any vision, it looks like. Oh, nope, Someday is getting out. Missed the Sion ultimate, but they're still going to go all in for it. Pop the Ragnarok, and another kill for C9, or for CG.
That's super confident play on their part to miss the ult so badly, to not have any minions tanking, to just know that they're inherently tanky enough, and that Olaf's physical damage and true damage with the Reckless Swing is enough to take down Someday, even without the play playing out properly. And that's the killer right there, because he's going to lose a double stacked wave here. He doesn't have TP to get back to this lane, so he might even lose a third wave. It's 20 CS difference now. And Solo, who normally isn't the recipient of a lot of pressure by Clutch's strategy, he's already gotten these 2 early ganks, and he's made a lot with it, getting an early advantage, keeping Someday pinned in his lane, not able to make plays across the map like he'll want to. And that's impressive play from the rookie.
And then having the 100 Thieves bot lane trying to keep Apollo and Hakuo kind of pushed in, trying to keep them from getting too much pressure. That's also kind of relieving the need for Someday to have to come down and help them out.
That's true. It's 100% a win for this 100 Thieves bot lane to be up a handful of CS, given that they haven't gotten any pressure, and that Apollo and Hakuho are known for this duo pick, and that they should have the pressure in this lane naturally. So that's a really good job by them, and that's going to be their saving grace here. They're still down 1,000 gold from a mix of First Blood, the kills, the early dragon, and the farm differential top lane. But if they can keep it to about this differential, 100 Thieves is going to have a good shot in the mid to late game here as their comp matures.
And then it looks like Lear was going to consider trying to go mid lane, see if he can get something there, but he's changing his attention to bot lane.
He misses an unfortunate. He misses the unfortunate ward in the pink bush, in the pixel bush, and now you see Zac and Orianna potentially coming down and collapsing on him, depending on how safe he's going to be. You see Meteos waiting here in that bush, but Lyra doesn't come back up to the river.
Yeah, you see. And then you saw 100 Thieves kind of backing off, letting Clutch push in a little bit, but now that they have the vision reestablished with that control ward again back in the river bush, they're gonna get there pushing back in. Oh, and we got a action mid lane. We got a Meteos jumping in, but nothing's gonna stick. No trades, no summoner spells burnt. Just kind of a little friendly hello, how you doing?
Zac doesn't have a second target to stun knock up there, and it's problematic. Oh, Lyra's looking for another gank bot. They just saw him on these wards, but it looks like they're going to be able to get out, even if there's some damage onto Afro here. But Meteos is here to turn.
Oh, getting the root off on the Rakan. Oh, got the curtain call coming out from Jhin. Missing that second shot. Picking up the pill on Hakuo. And then they're going to potentially push in the wave and try to get a dive.
Looks like they're going to back off and maybe go for this dragon. That looks like to be the call for them, and it's going to be pretty much an impossible contest here from Clutch. Really nice play, good reaction time from Meteos to be there in time. They just dove a little bit hard once that grand entrance from Hakuho's Rakan missed onto Tahm Kench. When he lost his W, he wasn't able to go back in, even once he decided he wanted to ult, so he had to ult them just with his base movement speed, and they just left him to die, as was probably the right call.
And then we see this Mountain Dragon coming off for 100 Thieves. That's going to help them out quite a bit, get them back into the contention. They're just under 1,000 gold down, but things are still looking good for them. We're going to see a replay of this bot lane where Hakuho just barely misses on the Jhin, so he's able to get that root off, and that crit really helps him out too. Not having to use Tahm Kench eating anyone to get him out, and then having the Zac kind of holding so he can get that final shot off.
Unfortunately, he decided not to use his ultimate when going in for the initial play. I think with the bonus move speed, he might have been able to knock up Jhin. And even though Meteos was there to turn, it would have at least been a much more even fight. When his grand entrance is down, Hakuho is just a sitting duck. He can't come back out. He's already used his shields. And that's pretty much the end of what he can do offensively. But here you see Clutch going for a response on the Rift Herald while 100 Thieves resets. And they don't have the vision for this. They're not prepared. Top lane's pushed in. So it looks like this is going to be a free Rift Herald.
Yeah, and we're seeing some just letting the wave crash, getting a lot of tower damage off there, which is not going to be the best situation for him. But and that's the free air for them. But it's also giving them a chance to kind of catch up in gold. He is about a kill down, about 10 farm,
Really
and we see
interesting
some
engage here.
action in the bot lane. We got the grand entrance out, all the focus on the Tahm Kench, but nothing's able to come from it. We did get that exhaust or the ignite burned off of Hakuo as well, where Jin had to Cody Sun had to burn his heal to get Tahm Kench out.
That was the first time I'd see them gone for that type of play where they tried to all in the Tahm Kench, which the Jin might not have the damage here to burst them out, even if it takes them a long time to kill the Tahm Kench. I think that's exactly the type of engage that they're going to need. And I think if they had a little bit better vision, knew a little bit better where Meteos was on the map, they might have committed harder for that and been able to kill Afro, because they both had flash up, but they decided to, in very clutch gaming style, not pursue it too much harder and just take what little advantage you can get from that added pressure.
And at the time of this game, actually, the ignite buffs and the heal nerfs hadn't hit yet, so ignite's still on a shorter cooldown than heal is, so that's going to come up sooner. So they might be able to go in for another engage before Cody Sun's heal comes back up.
Here's a difficult spot for Someday. He can't contest this bannered cannon minion at all, and Solo actually gets first tower gold on his own, no jungle assistance, and it was a really good call to stop buying his abyssal mask and instead rush into a banner, because it allowed him to press his advantage. They also have the engage here bot lane, and they're trying to go in on Afro again, but they're not able to capitalize, so they just disengage.
We get the root off though. They might continue to keep chasing, but the bouncing grenade not hitting the intended target.
They're
But we
opening.
do have the curtain call as well going on. We have Hakuo hitting the grand entrance and pulling Cody Sun out of his ultimate, and we see Meteos coming down, but nothing's going to come of it.
It looked like a good turn and opportunity for 100 Thieves. They knew what was going on, but Clutch showed the. Oh wow, this is a really aggressive.
Oh, that's a. They missed the Orion the command shockwave, and we see that Afromu ulting in, eating Oriana out of this dangerous situation. Got a kill on Meteos, and then Cody Sun might fall. Nope. And we see Cody Sun fall as well. Maybe a third kill on Afromu.
It looks like that's
And we
going to
get
be
the
the end of
smite
that
kill.
play, but that's a massive swing right there. Second tower taken with the Herald. Herald's continuing to push. They're going to get another tower here on top of the 3 kills that they just got. This is going to be a massive gold swing, almost 5k difference now after this tower falls, and it all happened so fast. It was a good decision for them to pop the Herald mid lane after Meteos showed bot, and just an unfortunate ultimate from Afromu on Tahm Kench. Needed to play a little bit safer farther out from the tower, because here the Febvin gets a nice stun, and that just starts this all off.
We see Meteos attempting to ult someone into tower range, but he's just out of range to get anyone. And then Cody Sun landing the root onto Solo rather than onto Lyra was a good call, because Lyra wouldn't have been affected by it due to the Ragnarok being active. But too little too late.
And everyone hits the skill shots they need to. They go in. Hakuo hits Jin on the side, and they're able to run him down with the second Rakan W, and that just is enough kills, and they're staggered enough to get those towers. One thing in 100 Thieves' favor from all of that is at least the kills aren't going on to the traditional carries. You see 2 kills onto Solo's Sion, 3 kills onto Lyra's Olaf. And while both of those champions can be scary when they get gold, it's not the same as having a 4 or 5 kill Xayah, 4 or 5 kill Syndra. So maybe the gold isn't allocated as well as Clutch might like it, but they're still in a commanding position here.
In a situation like that, though, it also could be beneficial, because having the Tahm Kench on 100 Thieves side, he would just be able to eat them out of most of the danger coming from Zyra or from Syndra. Whereas having the gold centered on the Olaf or the Sion lets them get online earlier and kind of limits Afromu's effectiveness on that Tahm Kench to get him out of it.
It's true, and Solo decided for a pretty supportive build of going Banner of Command first, which means that if he didn't get ahead as much as he is now, he would be a little less tanky than you'd expect a Sion to be on the front line. And Olaf is just an inherently gold hungry champion. He wants as much gold as possible because he can die very quickly if he's not ahead. So they are good champions to get the gold on, and I think you make a good point. Something you had talked about before that was interesting is looking at this Lost Chapter, and then Syndra decided to ultimately build it into Archangels, which is what you'd expect, and it'll give her the extra power over the other options that might offset the choice to go for Mercury Treads here, which seem to be pretty common choice for this Clutch Gaming squad. There's a lot of magic damage here, especially if Jhin doesn't get more ahead until Jhin gets 3 items. It's going to be very magic damage heavy on 100 Thieves side, and you see a lot of MR coming out from Clutch, again, trying to end this game early before it gets to there.
And then we see this second Ocean Drake as well for Clutch. That's going to kind of give them, they're just going to further pad their gold advantage, putting at about 6,000 gold ahead right now. And we also see the Olaf getting a locket for a second item. That's going to kind of help out the general tankiness of the team in case there's any good engages by Meteos' Zac. It'll kind of give them that little wiggle room they need to get their full combos off.
It's true, and spikes are coming out here for Clutch, a little bit ahead of where 100 Thieves is. Xayah is going to have the gold to back here very soon for what is assumed. Oh, going in onto Hako here. Hako is a little bit out of position here and gets Zac ulted back, and he's gone.
Going to pick up the kill for Meteos, giving him a little gold, getting him back in the game, let him get some more tankiness, which is good for him, clearing some vision in their top side jungle. Oh, maybe catching out Apollo as well. Nope, Apollo's going to get away.
That was an unfortunate decision from Hako. They're warding a little bit ahead of where he should have been based on where their pressure was, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get an objective off of this. Clutch had the lanes pushed out. Baron just came up. The damage from 100 Thieves for the Baron is very low, so nothing too bad happens after that, and the gold lead just keeps growing for Clutch. It's up over 5K, 5.5K now, as Meteos and Lyra fight over a pink ward here in the Pixel Bush. Just before, when they got the second Ocean Dragon, Clutch had a lot of vision control with pinks in the bot side river, and now they're going to try to move all of that to the top side to cement their ability to take this Baron.
And then we see 100 Thieves just kind of like not sure what they're going to be doing right now. They're trying to get some vision control, but they're not making any effort otherwise to get any sort of lanes pushing in their favor. They're just kind of twiddling their thumbs, waiting to see what Clutch is going to be doing next.
It's very difficult for them. Their way back into this game is to look to get picks to equalize the gold like they did on Hakuho, but it's not going to be easy. It's incredibly hard to kill solo. Lyra has his Ragnarok to get out. Apollo and Hakuho both can get out at will, so it's really just Febiven, but even he built very tanky and is going to be playing around the team at this point, and that's going to be Clutch's focus here. If they can play as 5 or get pressure in a 4-1 split, then that's going to be how they want to win this, because it's going to be very difficult for 100 Thieves without an insane Wombo to actually win a 4v4 team fight.
We see it looks like Clutch is trying to catch 100 Thieves out in their top side jungle while they have Sunday pushing out that bot lane, because he can always ult in with the stand aside so they can help him out and get that turn in the fight that they need, but it looks like they're not getting the positioning they need to get a pick right now. Oh, we see Meteos going in. He gets the ultimate off, and he's able to pull Hakuho over, but just going to pop the passive, pick up a kill on Meteos, and have them back off. Nothing else coming from it. A little too late on Sunday to try to channel that ulti.
Difficult situation there where Meteos looks to go in with his elastic slingshot, misses, only hits 1 target out of the 3 that are clumped in the bush. They don't know where he is, and it looks like after that 100 Thieves just kind of gives up on the play. Meteos dies, and with the smite down, Clutch is going to try to take this Baron, but they peel off.
We see Lyra activating his locket already during that Jhin ultimate, which is kind of an interesting decision. No one on their team seemed low enough to be in risk of dying, but we see the command shockwave come out as well from Cody-san, but missing. We see the giving him a shield, but it's just going to be kind of a wasted engage. Their Clutch is too far back to keep pushing it.
A fantastic play from 100 Thieves to stop that Baron. That would have been potentially game deciding if they had gotten it. Good call by Cody-san to open up with the Jhin, and it was an amazing shockwave from Ryu, and that just peels them off the Baron, and that kind of resets this game a little bit. And it's been about a 5k gold lead ever since that Herald play in the mid lane, and that was about 5 minutes ago. So the fact that this is staying even, it does bode well for 100 Thieves. Gives them a good shot to come back in this game once they get closer and closer to the late game. You see that Jhin finally got his second item completed, the rapid fire cannon, and second items are going to be coming in on Orianna, on Shen, and they're going to at least get closer to the second and almost third items that a lot of the members of Clutch Gaming have.
Yeah, and we see Meteos rushing that Spirit Visage too to kind of help him out with his passive healing and kind of keep him against the magic damage from Solo's Comets, from Syndra. Just all in all, having that Spirit Visage is going to help him out, maybe keep him alive a little longer in these extended engages that he's trying to do.
A big boon for Zaya's damage is going to come in when Hakuho finishes this Zeke's Herald. Zaya will probably, or Apollo will probably have an extra Zeal at that point. And when that point in the game comes where Apollo has 3 items and Hakuho has a Zeke's Herald online, it's going to be really difficult for 100 Thieves to itemize against this comp. They have to be wary of Febiven's burst, but also Apollo's just going to run through them. You'd like to see him go for a Runon's Hurricane here for his 3rd item.
And we see the Scout of the Week coming off from Febiven trying to get something off onto Meteos, but after he was able to get him into safety, trying to clear some vision, we might see Apollo trying to take this red buff away from 100 Thieves, see if he's able to get it.
Gets a really nice deal on that red buff with the feathers because they were really set up 100 Thieves there, and 100 Thieves has been doing a good job getting vision, maintaining vision, contesting in their red side jungle without getting caught out for it. And as you can see, Clutch, for how much pressure they have, they don't have that deep a line of vision. They have a ward in that blue buff pit, but there is a little bit of an alleyway here where 100 Thieves can still get in on the Baron. But it looks like Clutch is going to force the issue and start it. They want to do something about Sumday's TP.
We also saw Clutch clearing off that blasting cone behind Baron pit, which is going to help them out. We see Syndra setting up a Dark Orb so she can scatter the week and get a stun on.
Hakuho trying to CC Meteos, but it doesn't work. Meteos gets into the pit. Meteos is going to try to steal this, and he ends up not getting it.
All the while this happening, we see Someday still down bot lane. He's not making any effort to come up and help, and their Clutch is going to keep running away with it. We see the Ragnarok coming out and getting the kill onto Orianna with the Baron, so that's going to be a 2-for-none trade. That's not looking good for 100 Thieves so far.
Late teleport from Someday. He decides to cancel and take the tower, but ultimately that was a sloppy play from Clutch, and they're lucky to have gotten it because Hakuho uses his CC a little bit too early on Meteos, maybe overestimates the damage his team has, and lets Meteos get in with almost 2,000 health left on that Baron. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that play again. And as you see here, Clutch trying to get back, but they're going to have to cancel these recalls, and that's a good play on Someday and Aframu's part to try and halt this momentum.
Yeah.
They're going to have to do their best to hold here, though, because you're 100% right here, Crazy. They're going to need to put on kind of a miracle stand to stand up to this. There goes Solo building his Warmogs, and that's going to allow him to just tank all of the poke they're going to put out there, along with the double Ocean Drakes. And here's a replay of that fight. You see Hakuho going in.
We see him catching out Meteos at the top, popping that Grand Entrance as well to get him, try to stall him as much as you can, but unfortunately, Meteos is still going to be unable to hit that smite on it, and we're going to see the Command Shockwave come out from Orianna to try to get him out of danger, but not able to get anything out of it. We see the Ragnarok running in, the Flash to get the kill, and then getting right back out.
Yeah, it's a big play, big lucky moment for Clutch because if 100 Thieves had gotten that, it was going to stall out the game for at least the duration of that Baron. But here Clutch gets Dragon number 3, Ocean Drake number 3, and that's going to just accentuate what they're going to want to do now, which is just set up a 4-1 split with Solo pushing on one side, and here comes an engage.
We see the Let's Bounce out from Zach, and we see the lock activated. We see the Ragnarok coming out, trying to focus down Ryu, but it's not going to be able to get it. They pick up a kill on Someday instead. Looking like they're going to keep chasing with Solo trying to tank the tower, but they have Apollo tanking it. We got the Zaya ultimate coming out, and not much coming from it other than the kill on Someday. They do get a second tower, and they have that Baron banner of command minion pushing down the 3rd tower. Meanwhile, they got top lane pushing towards them, got mid lane pushing towards them. It's looking like they're just going to kind of press this lead that they have and try to see if they can end the game right here.
Yeah, they're not even going to go up to this top lane. They have 2 waves of supers here with the banner minion, and they're just going to force this down. It's going to be incredibly hard for 100 Thieves to contest. Hakuho goes in to stall, and towers go down.
And we see another kill getting picked up for Clutch. They're going to chase them back into the fountain. It's looking like it's going to be the end of game 4 with Clutch having a 10,000 gold lead and just had a better game plan going into it, even though they did have that sloppy Baron play.
That was an impressive win from Clutch. A little bit sloppy at various points, but they made the nice macro calls when it comes to the Herald mid lane play. And the way they used that Baron was expert, and they finished that game quickly before 30 minutes. 10k gold lead, just like you said.
They knew going into this that if they had stayed and let things kind of progress into the late game, they wouldn't threat. But having those 2 early ganks top lane really helped them out.
It was an interesting fight there in that last attempt, that last stand by 100 Thieves at their bot lane outer tower. The Meteos engage looked good. Solo's TP was on time, but they were still fighting a 5v4 temporarily, and they just did not have the damage. Even though they got a lot of the members of Clutch low, the triple Ocean Drakes, the Warmogs, they just kept them all healthy, and that meant that 100 Thieves at the back, they had lost their tempo when they lost the kill. Hakuho hit a very nice W underneath the tower there to continue that fight. I think that if he doesn't hit that W right on the edge on Tahm Kench and Zac, then Clutch just backs off and they try to play a tower game, and they probably don't end on that particular push, but he hits just as far as he needs to. That lets them keep going. Solo decides aggressively to flash in and look for the knockup with his Q, which he hits onto Orianna, and that lets them move forward with the game. So really nice fight there from Clutch, and a really nice game overall.
Yeah, that was really impressive showing from both teams, and tied up the series for them.
And that takes it to game 5, which at this point we obviously know what happened. It was an epic 70-minute long game, and it kind of shows because that game, even though it went in Clutch's favor pretty heavily, the fact that there were a lot of things in 100 Thieves' favor throughout that game, and it kind of shows how evenly matched those teams were. So thanks for watching. It's been Cucumber Sim and Crazy here, and hope you pick us for the Learning 5 caster spots.
We're signing off. It's been good.
Yep.